In this Sunday's readings, we hear Paul, as he is writing his letter to the Christians in Philippi, talking about how, of all people, he should be justified because he's a Jew and he has lived devoutly. But he says, but I throw off all of those things. I don't want any of those perceptions of righteousness to get in the way of always improving myself, of always being keen to follow the words of Christ and the example of Christ. And in the gospel lesson, Jesus gives us a fairly difficult and challenging parable about a landowner who is betrayed by the folks working the fields, and that they ultimately even kill the landowner's son. And this idea of, again, what is it that holds us back? Are we bound by what we think we are going to gain, or are we really listening to the words of Christ? And so our music will reflect that idea, as well as our true place at being in the vineyard of the Lord, being the planting that God has on earth to bring forth the fruits of love and mercy. So as the epistle ends with this idea of throwing off all that hinders, we will sing those very words in a sequence hymn. And it's a text by Dolores Dufner, who is a Benedictine nun and really very, very beautiful poet. And she writes these words: "Let us when from bondage we are summoned out of darkness into light, let us throw off all that hinders. Let us run the race to win. Let us hasten to our homeland and rejoicing enter in." Carl Haywood, the African-American composer and hymnologist, has written a beautiful tune that really has those comforting welcome home feel to those words. The two choral anthems will sort of both pick up on the idea of being the planting of the Lord. At the offertory, the choir will sing Jesus Christ the Apple Tree in a setting by the British composer Elizabeth Poston. This is something that's very familiar to our congregation, something that the choir sings with some frequency, yet it never grows old. It starts off with that beautiful melody for unison sopranos. And then, of course, it ends up with the full choir joining in. Really beautiful carol. And then at the communion, the choir will sing "Christ Hath a Garden." Again, something that's very familiar that our choir sings with some regularity, using that British melody, "O Waly, Waly." But again, this idea of the world as being the field that Christ plants with his love and his mercy, and that we can all share those fruits with those around us. So we hope that you will come and grow with us here at St. John's, joining us here downtown or by way of YouTube or cable television.